My name is Fran. My original name was Fanny Geller, and my birth date was August 17th, 1911, and the names of my parents was Sarah Geller and Harry Geller. And my children are Dolores Borith, Stephen Almus, Joy Raven, and Penny Cohen. Do you want to start answering me questions, Joy?
How about your grandchildren? How many grandchildren do you have?
I have 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren.
Okay. What are some of your earliest memories? Your earliest birthday, first pet, favorite toys, first kiss, first day of school? What do you remember?
Well, I remember I was about 2 years old, and my aunt stood me up on a table and took off my coat. I can still remember. I was so small, but I can still remember that. And my only pet was Whitey, a poodle. And my favorite toy was a doll, a bisque doll, beautiful doll. But her limbs got loose, and my first husband threw her away. And my first kiss, well, that was, we were at a football game, and my first husband gave me my first kiss. But vacations, we've never had many vacations. The only vacations we had was one day down to Atlantic City. We'd pack up a lunch and eat on the way and go to Atlantic City just for one day. And my first day of school, I do not remember. No.
What was your childhood like? Any special activities? Remember what school was like?
My childhood was important, not too spectacular. I'd play outside in the dirt and the mud and go in and get washed. And nothing spectacular. We were very poor.
Did you have a favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher was Mrs. Kershaw. She was my mathematics teacher.
What grade was that?
I think it was 6th or 7th grade.
What were you like as a child? Were you quiet? Were you
I was
outgoing?
always very quiet. I was always very quiet. And I'm still quiet.
Did you have any serious illnesses or traumatic events in your childhood?
Never had any serious illnesses, and I never had, even since then, I haven't had any serious illnesses, except giving birth to babies 3 times.
Well, right.
It's only 3 times, and I have 4 children.
What do you know about your family coming from the old country? Where'd they come from, and what do you know about them getting here?
My father came from Odessa, Russia, and after he got here, he brought back his, I think it was his nieces and nephews, and they prospered pretty well here.
How about your mother?
My mother was born in Philadelphia.
Do you know what year your father came over?
No, but he was only 17, I think, and they were married pretty young. My mother was the oldest of 12 children.
Where did you live growing up? What was the neighborhood like?
We lived in Wyncote, Pennsylvania. It was a very prestigious neighborhood. It was, everybody had plenty of money. We were the poorest ones there. There were only 2 Jewish families. We were the poorest and the richest. The richest was Sladkins. They had Silver Fox. They ran a Silver Fox ranch. They had plenty of money. In those days, silver foxes were very...
They actually raised them there?
No, they didn't raise them there. They raised them somewhere in Jersey. I don't know exactly where they raised them. But they had a big house high up on a hill with about 100 steps to go up. And they used to give us milk. They had cows there, and they used to give us fresh milk from the cows. They felt sorry for us, I guess.
What was your house like?
Our house was all wooden. It was a big house. It had 3 or 4 bedrooms, and we owned the next door neighbor was close to us. It was part of our house, and he was a shoemaker, and my father was a tailor.
Did he have his business right there?
Yeah, the business was right there.
Who were your friends? What did you like to do together?
I didn't have too many friends because we were so poor, but going to school we had a group of women. We just formed a club. We didn't do much of anything, but we just formed a club. There were about 5 or 6 women that went on the bus together, and we were very friendly.
Was this in high school or?
No, it was in junior high school.
What games did you play? What hobbies?
We played Kick the Wicked and games like that. I don't know.
Do you have a favorite hiding place or someplace you like to go as a kid?
No, not that I can remember.
Do you remember celebrating different holidays, what that was like?
We never celebrated too much. We couldn't afford it.
Did you have a car? Your family have a car?
Yes, we always had a car. Always had a car. My father had a big car. He had a Packard, I think it was. And it had isinglass windows. And we would always go shopping about 10 miles away, and we had blankets in the car, and we'd fall asleep coming home. I can remember that. All of us, all four. There were 4 of us, 2 girls and 2 boys.
Were you the oldest?
No, I was the third. My sister was oldest, and then my brother, and I was the third, and then I had a younger brother, 2 boys and 2 girls.
Did you fight with your brothers and sisters?
Never. We never had a fight.
Never fought?
No, we never had a fight.
How far apart were you in age?
2 years. Each were 2
Oh, yeah.
years apart.
Do you think your parents were strict or permissive? Or
They weren't very strict.
what were they like?
Well, my father talked a lot. My mother was very quiet. She did everything for him. They were very much in love. They were very close to each other.
What were some of the things they said to you? She has examples here, clear your plate, there's children starving in Europe, those kinds of things.
They used to say, still, people are starving in Armenia. I don't know why Armenia, but that's about all I can remember.
Do you remember any other advice or sayings your parents used to say all the time?
Not offhand. I can't remember offhand.
You grew up very poor, but what was it like either locally, or what was the economy like around you or in the country or world?
Well, the people around our neighborhood were very wealthy. In fact, the principal of the high school lived across the street, right across the street, and I went to school with his daughter. She was in my grade. Her name was Eleanor, but I don't remember her last name.
Do you remember any major world events while you were growing up or later on?
Well, the airplanes. I remember the airplanes. I remember World War I.
Do you?
Yeah, I was about 7 years old when it was over, and I was in the 2nd grade, I think. Yeah, I remember World War I.
And what happened when it was over? What do you remember?
Everybody started marching in school, and they were marching. The soldiers were marching home.
Do you remember your first date? Where you went?
No,
What you wore?
I don't remember. It was such a long time ago.
What was it like when people went out on dates then? Did you go to movies, or did you go to dances, or what'd you do?
We went to dances, and we belonged to a club. I belonged to a club with my older brother, and he used to take me dancing.
What happened to your older brother?
He moved away. He moved to Allentown, and he didn't want to have any parts of the family anymore. He married a nurse, and they moved to Allentown. He had 3 children, but I called him once, and he wouldn't come to the phone. He didn't want to have any parts of us.
How'd you fall in love and get married? What was it like?
Well, that's hard to say.
Well, tell about how you first met. Do you remember?
Well, I met in college. We went to school together. We went to Temple. We were studied together. And then we had a whole group of people that we bothered with. We had like a club that we went around with. And he had an old car. We called her Mabel. Mabel fell apart. The motor fell out once. That was the end of Mabel.
What kind of car was it, yeah?
I don't remember what kind. I think it was a Chevy. It was an old, real old one.
So you used to go out in the car. Where'd you go?
We just took a ride with a group, the whole gang of us. We had a whole gang that we went with in college.
And then what? Did you get engaged or?
No, I didn't have an engagement. I got married, but it was a very sparse wedding. Very few people were there. It was not a big wedding at all.
Where was the wedding?
In the rabbi's study.
It was just family?
Just family, nobody else. Yeah. We were very poor. He was still going to school. He was going to medical school.
What were you doing at the time?
I was working as a waitress, and I was going to school too. I took a job as a medical laboratory technician. I was taking a course as a medical laboratory technician.
Did your parents like him?
Oh yes, yeah, especially because he was going to be a doctor too, and he was a very good doctor.
And his parents liked you?
Yes, yes. His mother never had any girls, and she really liked me. She used to buy me different things because she was very good to me.
What are some of the happiest times in your life?
I guess the happiest time was my second marriage, I think. I was a widow for 10 years, and then I met Leon, and we had a bigger wedding. It was a little bigger than the first wedding, but we were very happy. They were the happiest years, I think.
How about the saddest times?
Well, the saddest times when I lost my first husband, and my babies were only 9 years old, and my son was 13, and my daughter was just graduating from high school. And he told her the month before she was graduating that he would not be to her graduation. And it was a beautiful graduation. She wore a white gown and they carried red roses. That was the only time I really cried.
What are you proudest of?
I'm proudest of my children. My 4 children.
What are the most important things you've learned?
What are the most important things I've learned? I've learned to control my temper. I had a bad temper at one time. I learned to control my temper. And I don't know.
What advice would you give to future generations?
Enjoy yourself. That's the most important thing. Enjoy what you're doing. I always enjoyed what I was doing. No matter what kind of job I had, I always enjoyed it.
If you could start again, what would you change about your life?
I don't think I would change anything. I like the way it was. I don't think I would want to start again and go through all that I went through.
Where have you traveled and what did you see?
We went to Israel. We went to England and France. And we went to California. But that was my second husband. The first time I had, with my first husband, I had small children and I didn't want to leave them. But after I married again, after 10 years, I married again, and that's when we traveled.
What was the best place you went to?
I think Israel. I enjoyed Israel very much.
What were your children like when they were young?
They were good children. They were all good because, I don't know, they were all good.
Any funny or special things they did that you remember?
I can't remember offhand.
Who were the most important or influential people in your life? Are you close or related to anybody famous?
No, never related to anybody famous. I can't think of anybody that had any bearings on my life.
How about work? What part has work played in your life?
I always had a job. I always managed. When other people weren't working, I was always working. I always had a job. I started working as a cashier in the movies when I was 12 years old. And from that time on, I always worked, always did something.
And you still work?
Well, I don't work.
Volunteer work?
I do volunteer work now, but that's not really work.
How about religion? What did religion mean to you, and how has it affected your life?
I'm not religious at all. Of course, I believe in God, but otherwise I'm not religious.
What has your generation done to change history?
My generation to change history? Well, there have been a lot of changes. I don't know what.
What kinds of changes and advancements have you seen in your lifetime?
Well, first of all, the airplane. We never had airplanes when I was young. Even automobiles. There weren't too many automobiles when I was young. There are so many different things. Everything has changed. And television. I remember the first television we had kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And we had all the neighbors in to watch it because we were one of the first to have television. And what else is there? Air flights.
What do you think the future is going to be like?
Well, there's going to be a lot of people in the air, I guess. I don't think there'll be too many more changes.
What advice would you give to somebody to live a long life like you have?
Watch your diet and exercise. I'm 87 years old and I'm proud of it. I don't mind telling everybody.
How would you like to be remembered?
Oh, I don't know. Just as a nice person, that's all. I'll do anything for anybody.
Anything else you'd like to say about your life? Or?
Not that I can think of. Is there anything else that you want to ask me?
I can't think of anything.
I know I have 4 wonderful children.
How did your parents die?
My father, he had kidney failure. And my mother was walking on the street with my sister, my oldest sister, and she fell over dead. She dropped dead. They were walking along the street. She fell on the street, and that was the end of her.
What'd she die of?
I don't know what she died of. She just died.
How old were you at the time?
How old was I? I was married, but I had 1 child. I was about 28 or 29. My mother was only 57 when she died. My father was 52.
He died before her?
He died before she did, yeah.
And how about Dad's parents? What happened to them?
His mother was in her 80s when she died. His father was 65 when he died. Oh, you mean your dad, or you mean Leon's? I'm talking about Leon's father. That wasn't your dad.
No.
No. My father's father, I don't know. He was up in years when he died, I think. My grandmother was in her 80s. She was the only older person in my lifetime that died at an old age.
What's the best part of your life right now?
Right now is the best part of my life. I'm enjoying my life.
What about it is the best? Anything in particular that makes it good for you?
Well, I love it down here in Florida. There isn't anywhere I'd rather be. And my children, my 3 children are here with me, which is wonderful too. There's no place I'd rather be.
Okay, what do I remember about Steve? I'm not talking about like he was a kid. I remember how gullible we were and how you used to take advantage of us all the time. You used to tell us there was a boogeyman in the basement. And we believed every word you said. There was a boogeyman down there. We weren't going to go down there. You used to do everything to scare us. You used to throw snakes at us. And you'd be cutting the grass, and you'd throw snakes that you found under the rocks. And then one day you came in and you showed me this box. It's a box about that big. And you said, Joy, I got something for you. And I said, what is it? And he said, I'm not going to tell you. Don't look at it. Don't open it. What do you think it is? And I said, I don't know. And then he said, okay, I'll shake it. And you shook it, and I still didn't know what it was. And he said, here, you take it. You shake it. And I shook it, and I still didn't know what it was. So, wait, hold on a second. What time is it? So finally you said, well, go ahead, just open the box.
And after.
So I opened the box, and there was a half-dead snake in the box. Ew. I screamed. You were so cruel. What else? They used to teach us all these different things. You taught us games. You had a whole bunch of games in your closet. You used to teach the games. Remember the game Broken scare us, like leaving us before we got to the houses, or I can't remember what else. Do you remember anything from Halloween? He used to take us all over the place. He used to take us sledding at the country club, and we just walk and walk and walk, and we'd be freezing, and you'd say, okay, we got to try Suicide Mountain.
Suicide Hill.
Suicide Hill. What else? What else? What do you remember?
Right, I'm gonna go.
See your next. See if we're going to both be in this picture.
We'll both be in the picture.
Okay. Here's my other notes.
All I remember is constant teasing. You teased us all day long. And when we go to Mom, and I'd say, Steve's teasing me, Steve's teasing me. And Mom would say, that's because he loves you. And I'd say, no it isn't. He hates me, he teases me all the time. He calls me Worm, and I'm not a worm. And then he calls me Jim all the time, and I'm not Jim. My name is Penny, I'm not Jim. We always tease. And then one time I got real mad at him. I got so mad. He wasn't allowed to hit us or touch us. But I remember I got so mad at you, Steve, that I went and hit you. And I can still picture it in your bedroom. Walking up to you, standing by your desk. And I got so mad, I hit you real hard with my hand. My hand turned black and blue, the whole hand. Swelled up to double its size. And I went to Mom, and she said, well, I told you not to hit. You're not supposed to hit. She was so soothing, Mom. She always knew just what to say. What else do you know?
I don't remember you teasing me that much, because Penny was the one to tease, because she used to get so mad. There's no point in teasing me as much. You used to tell me I was fat all the time, and I believed you. I think I was, I don't know. What else? Oh, remember we used to play Old Maid?
Penny hated the old maid.
She hated
I was always the old maid. I remember getting so upset that I buried myself in the chair. We had a big yellow, like vinyl
I remember that chair.
chair, and I can remember crying and screaming and carrying on because I was always the old maid. And I swear you cheated. I know you cheated.
Well, you know what he used to do? I don't know if you noticed this. He used to hold the cards and pull up the Old Maid, so when you went to pick it, you were... She would pick the one that was sticking out like an idiot. And then she couldn't understand why she always lost. Dolores used to do that too.
Yeah, we used to play a lot of games. I liked it better.
Remember the band we used to play together?
Yeah, we used to run around the house naked, the three of us.
And then we get in the bathtub.
We would run around the upstairs, remember, all the way through. All the way through, if you ran from these rooms to Mom's room in the back, it goes all the way around and around and around.
What? And we get in the tub and we each get a bar of soap. And you make us work so hard to get the most bubbles in the bathtub. Didn't you remember that? We used to have bubbles all over the place. Baths haven't been as much fun since then, I'll tell you. What else? We used to have towel fights too. We used to, what do you call that?
Oh, yeah,
Flick
you whipped us with a towel. And
Pling!
pling! Remember plinging?
We used to fling us all
I
the
said
time.
that to somebody once, and they said, what in the world is a pling? I said, what do you mean you don't know what a pling is?
We used to go watch you play baseball at Tookonie Park. We used to walk down there with Mom and watch you play. And you used to get sick every time you had a pitch, you'd be sick.
You hated for us to come and watch.
Yeah, they were boring too. You used to strike out all the time. I don't think I ever saw you hit anything. I remember.
All the neighborhood kids used to follow you wherever you went. You were like the Pied Piper. They all thought you were the end. You knew everything. You were a wonderful athlete. You were so smart, and you were the oldest boy. And all the little kids followed you everywhere. We used to play Fox and the Chicken. Remember that?
I remember Hooper.
Well, we all played Hooper. Remember, all the girls were the chickens, and we were on our porch, and all the foxes would come and after us on the porch. I don't remember
Oh, yeah.
what we did, but
I remember playing alligator. What's an alligator where you jump from chair to chair?
Yeah.
Because we had the blue carpet, we used to pretend that was the water. I don't know if you played that with us, but Penny and I used to jump from the furniture. You couldn't let your feet touch the ground.
we used to go all around the living room.
And you taught us how to sled correctly, how to belly flop onto the sled coming down Carter Lane,
Oh, yeah. And steer.
and steer with your feet.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
Steer
sit
the
up.
feet, right? And we'd steer right into the creek coming down in the back.
Remember Remember the comic books? You had a big pile of comic books on your nightstand? You used to go in there when you weren't looking and read your comic books. Did you know that?
I didn't do that. You did that. I never did that. I don't remember.
I read the comic books.
We used to have a baseball card collection. You remember the baseball game we used to play? They had little. I remember you had Stan Musial and
Oh, yeah.
a couple of those famous people, and it was like a
Donut shape.
yeah, like a donut thing. Piece of paper that went around the spinner, and you spin, and I don't remember what else you had to do. And we had the basketball game where you flip the thing, and the ping pong ball would go from one thing to another.
You also had one of those football games with the magnetic field. Remember that one?
Vaguely, yeah.
Remember your English racer? I remember when you got that bike. It was like beige English racers, 3-speed bike. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the first ones.
That was a nice bike. You were just a pain, basically. That's all I remember. Teased all the time.
Drove us crazy. I'm blank. You were so fussy. You were so skinny. I mean, we didn't eat anything. Mom used to cut the fat off. You couldn't have one little piece of fat on anything you ate, and everything had to be separate in the plate. And I think you used to eat them separately, right?
And by the time you had
Nothing touched.
nothing to touch, and by the time you had cut all the fat off of whatever you were eating, there was no food left because you had to keep cutting it further and further in. I remember that. You were so skinny. Boy, your bones hurt when we hit you.
Yeah.
Really hurt.
What else?
I remember play ball all the time. You were throwing a ball, you were playing basketball, you were playing baseball, you were always playing ball, and you always had a baseball hat on. Your big fat ears sticking out that skinny head.
You still always have baseball hat. We used to, before you made the basketball court in the attic, remember you painted it? Before that, we used to roller skate around upstairs in the attic. We also used to roller skate in the basement.
Remember having playing doctor up in the attic? Yeah, we had a little doctor's office in the eaves. You climb off the main part of the attic, and we had a little doctor's office with all the dust and the insulation and everything
I
there.
don't know if you did that.
I don't think you did. Played a lot of games. We always played games. Card games.
And then you made the baseball field in the backyard, baseball diamond. I used to play back there. Most of the time I remember playing next door at Ciola's. And if you hit it up on that, like that raised area near the wall of their house, that was a home run, automatic home run, right off first base. The first base? First base, I think.
I don't remember. You remember, what was his name? Freddie Weiss? He was the troublemaker. He always reminded me of
Eddie Haskell?
Eddie Haskell. Yeah. From Leave It to Beaver. Because he was always getting in trouble. And he was the one, I think, that taught us how to climb around the fence to get onto the golf course behind his house.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we had to climb all the way out on the edge of the swinging part of the fence and climb all the way around to get on the golf course.
Remember building dams across the creek, right under the bridge?
And Mom always said, don't go in the creek, whatever you do, because you get polio. Because that was when polio was around. And we went in anyway. We all did it. We had fun in the neighborhood. Everybody played games
We
together.
used to play Hooper at night. Everybody went chasing after each other. And Home for Y'all. Isn't it the same thing? I don't know. I don't remember it. I don't remember details. I don't think. What's the next to do?
Oh, we always went sledding in the winter. And ice skating. You remember going ice skating on the pond down on the Chukin?
I remember getting your hand-me-down ice skates and jackets and hats. Remember the hats with the flaps? Remember yours?
Oh, yeah. It was like like Snoopy.
Yeah.
The Red Baron.
What else? Remember driving your Corvair down to Biloxi, Mississippi?
Only your mother would do that for you.
You were 18 when you went into service, and all you wanted was the car, so we drove it down. The three of us drove down there. It took us, I don't know how long it took us, days.
And Mom couldn't see anything and she got lost in the middle of the night. We'd be driving for hours and hours.
And we made it down there, and We were so excited to see that car. And then she had done something to the muffler, so it wasn't loud. Remember, did you hear that story?
So yeah, you had to soup up all the cars. Remember the first original car you got? It was a great big old, like a Mercury or something? Great big thing. It must have been like from the 50s. I'm sure it was from the 50s. And all your friends, and it was beautiful, and an old lady or an old doctor or somebody had driven it, and Mom was so excited about getting it for you because it was just in perfect condition and looked brand new. It was beautiful. You had it one day, and all of a sudden the next day, all your friends came over, all your greasy friends from school, and you took the grill off. You remember that? And souped it up, and Mom almost had a fit. The thing looked like a beat-up old thing, but it made a great noise. And that's what made you happy.
I remember the reverberators you put in. I guess it was the Corvair. One of your cars.
Oh, that's right. Loud music. Kids are still the same. She always hung out with the greasers, I guess.
Hoods.
The hoods, that's right. I never thought of you as a hood, but all your friends were hoods. Remember Ed Fishoff? Wasn't he weird?
He wasn't a hood.
No.
Jim was.
Jim. Jim McMahon. Jim McMahon? McMahon.
You know Jim McMahon?
Yeah. My sister over the head with a rock. She came home, her whole head's bleeding.
Okay. I remember, speaking of hitting over the head, I remember Sciola's, Joey hitting me over the head with a baseball bat. And they used to fight with us all the time. Remember we all played football in the snow in the backyard. We used to play it every once in a while. I remember playing, it was almost up to our waist one time. And,
I remember playing Army in the back, and you and Greggy and I don't know, did you? Used to shoot.
I don't remember their names.
Used to shoot at us, you know? Or we'd be the nurses, or I don't remember. They had that cabin in the back of their house, remember that? Used to climb up on the roof.
Oh, their cabin was so filthy. I think they all peed in the corner. It always smelled terrible. I swear they used to go pee in there. I'm sure they did, actually. Remember we had the tire hanging from the tree in the backyard? And who was it? Guy? Yeah, the guy came over and fell off of it. I saw him too, but I never told anybody. I saw him fall off and hit his head. And he had a concussion. Maybe we were both there. I don't know. I remember their father, every time at 6 o'clock or whatever time, when it was dinner time, he would come in the house. They'd be all over the neighborhood. They were such rotten kids. They were everywhere. They never listened to anybody. But when their father walked in the house, he'd start counting in a normal voice. And no matter where those kids were, he'd count to 10, and they had to be in the house by 10 o'clock, by number 10, to have dinner. And he'd talk in a normal voice, and I don't know how those kids heard it, but they'd all come running. Even the dog would come running. Remember the Great Dane?
Yeah.
All over the neighborhood, all these kids would come running. And then if they didn't make it on time, we'd stand outside on the front porch and hear him whipping one of the kids with a belt.
Yep, they whipped all the time. But yeah, well, she wasn't even born then. She was a little one.
What was her name, Barbara?
No.
Ann? Yeah, one or the other.
Or Bubbles.
Bubbles, that's right.
One of the earliest memories I have of you, I just thought of this today, was in school. You were in a play in school, and you must have been in 6th grade, which meant, I guess we were in the 2nd, but you were in 5th or 6th, and you were, I don't know if it was a Revolutionary War play or something, but you were a soldier in the war. So I remember you had a rifle and you were on stage, and I was sitting right near the front. It must have been in 1st grade, because we were sitting right near the front of the auditorium. I just remember that, my big brother.
I don't remember that, but the other thing I remember around that time is when you were in 5th grade and you fell in school and cut your knee open. And I remember them carrying you home and go carrying you up the stairs.
I don't remember that.
And you collected your stitches in a little box. And you had that for years. Remember the little
Yeah.
white box? We had all 48 stitches in this box we used to show everybody. And you couldn't work. And remember one night you walked in your sleep? You remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
And you walked down to the top of the stairs of the basement. And you must have called down to Irene or something and woke her up. She was scared to death of anything anyway.
scared of the dark. And she screamed and yelled. I mean, we heard about it the next day, but we weren't out. I don't think we were awake. You were always cutting that open. One time we went out and we came back, and I think it was one of your friends was there, and they'd been jumping on the bed, and you tore out big stitches or scabs or whatever it was, and had to get all bandaged up again. It seemed like you had that bandage on your leg forever. I remember thinking you were so grown up then. You were so little, and you were so, I thought you were so old, so important. And you went and you played baseball and you cut your knee open. And everybody in school talked about it. Remember Mr. D in school? I remember him telling, one year we went to school at the beginning of the year, he gave a lecture about, being careful in sports, and one of the things he said, don't ever use rocks as bases, because one year one of his students slid into first base and cut open his knee, and I remember thinking, that was my brother. You were shy, but we thought you were, at least I thought you were just the best. I just idolized you. I thought you were the most amazing person. So handsome, so handsome. Why did you laugh at that? But now, because now we know the truth. Oh, what else? Funny how you think of things. Picture him riding around in the car. His fancy cars, all souped up, making all kinds of noises, and all your weird friends with their greasy hair, slick back hair, and dark clothes. You used to complain because your hair was too curly. We'd sit at the dinner table, and you and Dee would go back and forth, Iron, oh yeah. Did we iron his hair? We straightened his hair once. Remember on the down the show, we straightened your hair once. That was painful. God, I remember you screaming. It hurt. Cap on your head. Not happy, not happy. How did that come out? I can't remember. I don't think it was really straight. No, it was like half done. Your hair was like SOS. It was really kinky. I remember going in the service and coming home for a leave, maybe for a weekend or a week, and you bought, what's the guy's name? Two Faces Have Eyes. Who's the singer? Let's just think about this. Two Faces Have Eyes. No. It was, you know who it was. I can't think of it. I just saw him in a 60s revival show. Oh, I know who it is. You know who it is. He was still good too. It sounded just the same. But you played that record over and over and over on the Magna-Box. Remember the Magna-Box? We were talking about that the other night in the den. That record played for about a week straight until I thought we were going to die. But Mom would never say anything. I couldn't stand it. But whenever you wanted, that was fine. Remember the letters you sent home? I think Mom probably still has them. I'll have to ask her about them. Where you used to, when you were in Turkey and you said that the best thing that you did on a Saturday night was go to the laundromat and watch the clothes go around in the dryer. It was so exciting. The people spit on you there. And I remember when you lost the motorcycle. Was that in Japan? Do you remember that story?
Oh yeah, you got drunk one night.
You got drunk one night and
Found it again.
parked a motorcycle in a field somewhere and you never found it
Ran out of
again?
gas.
Ran out of gas?
Yeah.
Never found it. You didn't tell Mom until after the fact. She would have to fit. She never knew you had a motorcycle. She knew afterwards. Yeah. She would have to fit. Well, we can always start again later. All right, Jane, you want to take a turn? Or
Not me.
What do you want to do?
No. I have my own thing.
You have a private
Yeah.
session?
I'll get him that night.
You know?
I'll get you.
Oh, I do have one more thing to say before we part, and that is, I am not a worm. That's it. Goodbye.
All right, go ahead.
We turned it off on there because it's
You're on, Fran, say something.
Once Steve got a new car, I don't remember what kind of car it was.
Corvette?
It might have been a Corvette, and
Corvair.
Corvair, not a Corvette, Corvair. And I asked him to try to find out what kind of mileage he got on. So I gave him my credit card for gasoline to fill it up with gas to find out how much mileage he got. So he ran that car and he ran it until the gas ran out.
Well,
Well, what do you expect? That's how he found out the mileage. And then we came home, we brought the car home. He just had enough to get home. And he went to bed. In the morning, I had to go to work. So I took the car and I got as far as New 2nd Street. And I ran out of gas because he had emptied the tank.
normal.
Yeah, it's normal for him.
For any
So I
any
came
child.
home, I was so mad. I came home and I woke him up. He was sound asleep. I woke him up. I told him the car ran out of gas. He says, well, I knew he ran out of gas. So he got his boyfriend Jim. You remember Jim? He got his boyfriend Jim to come over and start
Joy and
the
Shell
car.
talked about Jim and me too.
He had to start the car for him. Otherwise, it wouldn't start because it was out of gas and you can't start it right. It doesn't start up right away. So that was one of the things that happened. What else?
That's right.
How about when he
Well,
was
when he
younger?
first came home,
Oh,
there was no room for him.
In the
That is,
service.
no bedroom.
in the apartment.
And so I got a couple of pieces of plywood and partitioned off the living room, and he had a room there. And while I brought up these pieces of plywood, one of the cooperative owners saw me and says, "What are you doing with that?" I says, "I'm going to build an extra little room in there." And he was upset because he wanted an extra little room
Only
up
4
there.
people were allowed to live in the apartment, and there
Yeah.
were 4 already in there.
Right.
Yeah,
Between
sure.
Joy and Penny and Dan and I were living there at that time. And only
Incidentally, one of the things I remember about Steve, when we had a group of fellows, we went down to Ocean City, and there are quite a number of fellows down there, so he had a football team and I had a football team. We played on the beach. And Steve really was a good athlete because he could throw the ball better than anyone there. He could run faster, and he had a couple of good moves. And the end product was he had all the touchdowns. So he was a rather good athlete too. Another thing, later on, he started to become interested in photography. And never did he ever hesitate to take pictures of members of his family, and without any kind of resistance, he offered, and he was always willing to take these pictures.
That's your plate, isn't it? Or is it mine?
In
No,
fact,
it isn't mine, it's yours. We have the same type.
Keep doing your
you
thing.
realize what's going on here?
Okay. She showed me a plate, what can I do?
In fact, I was really appreciative of the fact when you and I, that's Fran and me, went to see Harold's baby, and Steve came down from Philadelphia to Bethesda, Maryland, and he took pictures there, video, and it was very, very nice of him to
Very
do that,
thoughtful.
and I
Yeah.
remember it. And so he always was willing to do things for members of his family, and it was very nice of him. So I clearly remember that.
Well, I told him he used to play basketball up in the attic. I told him that, didn't I?
Say a little louder.
I told him he played basketball in the attic.
That's what happened.
What's that?
He broke the light. He was bouncing the ball so hard he broke the light.
Well, lucky it didn't go straight through.
No, he didn't
Low
even go
floor.
through. Only the light went. The light broke. You know.
And as long as I know him, he's always been a friendly fellow. He had a good sense of humor, and he was easy to be around and talk to. So that gives an added incentive for people to want to be with him. And it's easy to enjoy his company.
Some of the pictures I showed you. The one picture was taken when he was in the service. There was a few. And one when he was only 8 years old.
Those pictures you gave me there,
I saw those pictures.
they're going to be terrific. I'll get them back to you as soon as they're put on video.
There were a few pictures that I wanted to tell you about. I don't know what they were. You don't have them here, do you?
No. I hid them. As soon as you gave them to me, I hid them to get
Oh,
them
you
home. I got you.
You You want to ask me any questions about him?
Well, just when he was young. I mean, what kind of little boy was he? I mean,
Oh, he was a good little boy. He used to play with the little boy next door all the time. He was very good. Oh, and he had a friend when he was in first or second grade, a little colored boy named Lewis. And he used to get in trouble with Lewis. And I was always glad he got in trouble with Lewis because he never got in any trouble. He was a good boy, and I was afraid he was going to be a sissy because he was so good. And I was always glad when he got into trouble. He used to have
strange
some-
for a mother to say that. But
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he was so good. I was afraid he'd be a sissy. You know, he was raised with only women. Three sisters and his mother.
But look what he did to his sisters.
Well, he had to figure it out somehow. He was good though. His father died when he was 13. But he was always good. He never gave
I
me any
first
trouble.
met Steve when he got out of the service.
That's right, he was in the service.
So I know him for around 23, 24 years. So I did that.
No, I met him 24 years.
24 years?
He was 24 when I met
You're
him.
no longer, you're married 26 years.
Yeah, but he was in the service when we got married.
Yeah, but you knew.
He
you
came
didn't
out
know him.
around 2
Oh,
years.
You didn't know him?
He wasn't at our wedding.
No, he was still in the service.
Oh.
He was still in the
Yeah.
service
No, when you
we
went
got married.
going together?
He was in the service when one of the twins got married too. One of
No.
them.
When he was at all the weddings. Didn't you go to Dee's wedding? He made it to everybody's wedding.
I think so.
Do you have any questions you would like me to?
Talk about when he was little. I
What?
didn't hear what everything you said before. What do you
He
remember?
just said he was such a good little boy.
Oh, was he?
You used to get in trouble with Lewis. Do you remember Lewis, the little colored boy that was in the class with him? He used to get in so much trouble with him. And one time he used to play hooky too from school. One time he got caught.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
With was that with Ed or Jim? His two friends.
And Jim was his best boyfriend. He was a nice boy. He used to do a lot of things. He used to fix the car. When anything went wrong with the car, he'd call Jim, and Jim would come over and fix the car.
I remember he had a Mustang and Ryder West. And I would occasionally use it because he wasn't using it, and I wanted to make sure the battery don't run down.
When we were in California.
That's when he was in the service.
And when we were in California.
What do you do, have the
We
Mustang
took my
then?
Mustang.
Oh, your
You
Mustang.
both had a Mustang.
Oh, and you
Yeah, but
sold it
when we
there
were
and
in
you came back with another
Right,
car.
but his was still here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the reason I use
Do you
it.
remember,
I
some
forgot what
of
the
the
reason
letters
was,
he
but that
sent
was
you for
it.
the service?
Oh yeah, he was anxious to get home. He was always anxious to get home.
It gets off like it's him. You're talking to Steve because he's the one who's going to watch the movie.
Well, I'm talking to you. You're answering me questions. I don't have to talk to that. I'm talking to you.
Midair.
And we used to go out to Edie's every Sunday.
Like the dog.
He liked to play with a big dog. They had a big dog there. He always liked to play with the dog. And then my girlfriend had a dog, and the dog frightened him. The dog jumped up to
Yeah.
his face once. And after that, he was afraid of dogs. But he doesn't mind them now, does he?
What, the dog?
Yeah, he used to
Oh,
be.
look at our dog, you know, what he put up with our dog.
He used to be scared.
You still got a dog?
No,
Oh,
He died. Anything else you want to know about him?
I think I've heard most of the stories over the years.
all I can say, he was a swell guy. It was
No, you said that already.
wonderful knowing him.
What do you want to say?
And-
You sound like he's
Depressing.
What do you want to say, Anita?
I'm not gonna
Steve.
say.
Sure.
The best of health and happiness for the rest of your life. How's that?
Don't judge it this way, I won't say anything.
Oh, sure you will.
No, I won't.
Honey, you talk about.
Marissa will say something.
Yeah.
Turn it to Marissa. Marissa will say something.
Say hi, Marissa. Say hi, great Uncle Steve. It's me, Marissa.
When I go home, I'll think of things to say. That's always the way.
How was he as a father? How did he act toward the children?
He's just a great father.
Yeah.
He is a great father.
I know he is.
He spoils his kids rotten.
Well, tell
That's
that.
what fathers are supposed to do.
He's making up for what they did not do to him. He wasn't spoiled rotten at home.
He
Or
was,
was he?
I don't know whether he was poor. They always thought I liked him better, best of all, but I didn't. He wasn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did.
Now, where does that?
Did she?
Oh, that reminds me, my sister is the same way. She used to say my mother spoiled me more than
Oh, yeah.
her. And I still swear I'll swear to Bible. My mother didn't make any difference between the five of us.
I didn't either.
Try not to, but
I don't think he
Yeah,
was
like-
fake.
I think she had a
we didn't
different
care. We all
against the
thought he
girls.
was the best.
You-
We didn't care. We all thought he was the best. Because he was, I don't know. He probably, he seemed to be your favorite.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't my favorite. I don't know where they got that idea, but he really wasn't.
Because he was a boy. They were all girls, so they get that.
I took him to dancing school once. He
Oh,
was-
remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
You went dancing school?
He went to
Seventh grade,
dancing
wasn't it?
school, yeah, but he didn't like it.
Bet he did.
I used to have to go after him. Do I have to go? Do I have to go? And the only song he could sing was Jingle Bells. Jingle Bells, that's the only song he could sing. When he was about 5, I think. Jingle Bells was the only song.
They sang it over and over again.
Over and over and over again.
I remember him going to dance.
Did he learn how to dance? What
No,
kind of
not
dancing
then.
was it? Wait a minute, what kind of dancing?
It was a regular dancing
Ballroom.
school at the Oak Lane Review Club, I think it
Yeah.
was. And one time we made hats.
What was it like
They had a
ballroom
crazy
dancing?
hatch contest.
A very crazy hat, and I think he won. I don't remember what it was. I think he had an airplane or something. I think he won something. She's got her mouth open.
That was cute. See her.
Marissa.
But he never wanted to go to dancing school.
Well, not at
I
that
have
age.
to go after him when he was playing baseball.
Well, what was it,
It
what
was
kind
girls
of?
and boys, right?
Yeah, it was girls
Did you
and
have to
boys.
dance
It was
together?
Yeah, well, we
ballroom
had
dancing.
cotillions,
It was
but we
ballroom
had
dancing.
the temple. Deanie was maybe in 7th grade. They had cotillion ball,
Oh,
where it was
good.
boys and girls. It was private. And I was a hostess, and of course there was an instructor, teacher. And it taught the boys how to ask the girls to dance
That's
and
what I
how
think
to
it was.
serve them. Was this the same thing?
I think it was.
Yeah, yeah. It was
well,
the
it
same
wasn't
thing with
dancing,
the
it
Oak
was a
Lane Review
cotillion.
Club.
Right,
Remember?
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
same thing.
He was so shy. He didn't want to do that kind of stuff.
But there were other, it was a whole group of class.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't the only one. There was a whole
Boys
group
and
of girls
girls
and boys.
partners.
I remember that. I remember thinking, I hope I don't have to go when I'm his age.
You went to dancing school too?
Not, yeah, but not like that. Not
Oh,
with
not
boys
that
and girls.
kind, no.
Yeah, that was nice. My kid liked, the group liked it.
Yeah, that's nice.
I had to bring, did they serve, did you serve food?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, yeah, we served cake, ice cream, and the boys had to go over and serve the girls before
No,
they
they
ate.
didn't serve.
It was teaching them manners more than anything, and how to, act grown up.
That's good.
It was the same thing with 7th grade.
Yeah, it was about
I
7th
think it
grade.
was he
But he was
group
playing
thing.
baseball, and I'd always have to go after him. He'd never come home. I'd have to go after him to take him to dancing school. He'd never come home on his own accord. Good character.
Okay, what else? Any other wonderful stories?
Do you remember him knocking down the light fixture in your dressing area, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the dressing room, he did that. And he'd always bounce the ball in the house, until he would drive you crazy. Didn't break any windows
I would
though.
have killed him.
All day long, that's all he would do, all day long.
How about when he used to drink beer? Now he doesn't drink beer.
Oh, he used to drink beer until one time he was so drunk he fell flat on his face. He got
My
up,
son does it.
he got up to go out and he fell flat on his face and
He
since
fell
that,
off a patio.
did he?
Mark.
Since that time he didn't drink beer after that, he didn't drink beer. He doesn't drink
Last
it
year,
all.
Mark fell off a patio. He was so drunk, he didn't even know he'd fall until he hit the ground.
I guess not.
Just
Once you
from our
hit the
first
ground,
floor,
then you
though.
know.
Just from our first
Did he
floor.
stop when he hit the ground?
Yes, definitely.
Did he stop drinking beer?
No.
No.
He still drinks
He's in
steam.
college, he'll drink there.
He's 21,
That's right.
believe it or not.
Where does he go to school?
Penn State,
Where,
up
up
at
at
the
the
main
camp?
campus, yeah. This is last year.
He
Thank
graduated in
goodness.
December though.
Yeah. Only because he didn't take enough credits.
Then
Oh.
what?
Accounting.
One more year.
He has to go further?
Pardon me?
He has to go further,
No.
take more, no?
No, he's just gonna go get a job, he said.
once he gets out.
He's an accountant, he's gonna be an accountant.
Yeah, well, they have to go further before. They
No,
have
they
to go
don't.
to an apprenticeship too, don't they? Oh,
You can, we have found out that you can go and take your CPA when you're still in college.
No, really, it used to be, because they have it here.
yeah, right, in Pennsylvania, had an apprentice under a CPA.
Yeah, you had to have a
In
year's
Florida, you have to
apprenticeship.
have a master's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
She's eating her fingers.
Because this cousin of mine,
Want to take
Is
that
that
off?
it?
I think, I don't think we know any, well, if we think of something else, we'll tell you.
yeah,
I wish I
turn
knew.
it
Where are
on.
my glasses?
Here, what
Stop.
I can't
Can't
see
think
it.
of anything else, can you?
Well, really not right now.
Up
Later
top.
on, we'll think of it.
Oh no, over to the right, on the right side of the camera. All the way on the, like if you were holding it, where your right hand would be.